Look at this friggin' steelbook. This is so cool. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the back. Look at it. It's all the bullets and the red ones, and there's knives. I honestly wasn't expecting knives to be in this film, but there were. The inside's just red. That's a little sad, but this isn't mine either. My boss lent me to this because, you know, he likes to lend me movies, and it's great. This is my first steelbook he's lent me, and it's pretty cool. And so is the movie. The Raid Redemption was released in 2011 and is written and directed by Gareth Evans. No spoilers, but the general idea is it is this group of police officers who are infiltrating this drug building, trying to take the drug kingpin down. Meanwhile, the drug lord says, hey, if you can kill the cops, I'll give you free rent. So everyone's fighting each other, and that's the whole movie. There's a couple side plots, particularly with a brother that I really liked. We'll get into that a little bit, but there will be no spoilers if you haven't seen it, because I feel like a lot of people haven't seen it, because I haven't seen it. I've never even heard of it. I will say first, it is Indonesian, I think. I think it's Indonesian. And I did watch it subtitled, not dubbed. So I didn't watch it like the new music with like Linkin Park. I wanted to watch the original. I don't know. I never choose to watch a newer version or something if I can watch the older one. I don't really know why. It's just a thing I have in my body where I'm like, I'm not watching a new version of the same thing if I haven't seen the old thing yet. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll revisit it and I'll watch it with. I don't like how I can't listen to the Linkin Park music in the film without the Indonesian soundtrack, like without their voices. I find it really hard to watch a dubbed movie, and you can totally love dubbed movies, it's really fine, but I have a hard time doing it. I don't know why. I think it's just my eyes and my ears are so connected that like it can't process things as fast. So I'm just reading the movie, and that's totally fine, because this movie is not hard to follow at all. It's pretty easy. I will say that the most confusing thing is that everyone's wearing the same outfit. And like the police officers, most of the people that are living in the building, they're all wearing roughly the same thing. And that is really frustrating, because I'm like, what is going on for like the first half of the film? Then once like most people are dead, it kind of is easier to follow the main characters. And the main character of the story is a badass. He's awesome. He's so cool. My favorite scene in this entire movie is when they're locked in this tiny room and some guy's jabbing a sword through the entire, like, the walls. And they're getting closer and closer to him, and it just cuts his cheek. Oh, first of all, that was genius. It was so cool. And second of all, it gives us a marker as to who the main character is, so that's when it really becomes him. So that was really, really cool. And I do like... I like the actors. They're all good. I don't know, I didn't write anything down, but like they're all so good. And they're so good at portraying these different characters. I really liked this group of actors. I know there's sequels and I want to watch them, and I'm hoping they all come back, because they're really, really good, particularly the main character. I wish I wrote his name down, but I didn't. The action in this movie is almost unparalleled to any other action movie I've ever seen. Like, it mixes like a bunch of martial arts together, it seems like, and the camera movements are very much like Kingsman quality, right? Where like the first Kingsman quality, I should say. The rest of them are kind of meh, but the first one, it's like they took the camera movements from the first one, but instead of having modern action, they just threw like kung fu and karate and like jujitsu into this thing with swords and guns. And honestly, the action in this film is so freaking good. And if you're just watching this just for that, good for you. But there's also a good story. The main character has a really cool side plot with his brother that's really cool to watch. I don't want to get into the ending because it's spoilery, but like, it's really interesting. There's a lot of really interesting stuff at play here that I wasn't expecting. And my boss told me to watch this as close as possible to Dread. So I watched them like pretty much back to back. And I gotta say, like, it does feel different. Like, the very beginning is the same elements. They're the same exact things. And as soon as they're in the building, it feels like a completely different movie. And I gotta say, I definitely prefer The Raid Redemption over Dread. It's just so cool. There's so much blood. There's so much violence and action. It's incredible. It's at some points hard to watch. It's so good. The stuntmen in this film have to be super well, like, trained. Also, hopefully well paid. Because they're super incredible. There are parts where, like, oh, that's CG. But, like, you don't really care. Because you're like, oh, whoa, he just snapped his bone in half. And, like, nothing really matters anyway. But, like, I really, really like this movie. If you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend you check it out. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere, so please rent it somewhere. It's so good. I'm going to go ahead and give The Raid Redemption an A-. Have you guys seen The Raid Redemption? Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about it. I don't know how somebody could not like this film. It's so good. Like, I don't think it's perfect, of course. I give it an A- mainly because the plot's a little long, and I just wanted more fighting. But The Raid Redemption is super, super, super cool. And if you haven't checked it out, I strongly recommend you do, because it's that good. And please consider subscribing if you're not already. That helps out a whole lot. It really keeps the channel going, so please, please, please consider doing so. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.